Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining. It's a pleasure to have you here. For today's topic, we'll be taking a look at general capacity building components for nonprofit and faith-based agencies. The general components that are required to build capacity of nonprofit and faith-based agencies. We'll be taking a look at capacity building in general, what's involved in capacity building, why capacity building fails, a basic form of analysis to assess the capacity of an agency, to assess the potential for an agency to expand its capacity, and then that'll be followed by a 30-minute question and answer session. So to start, let's first take a look at what capacity building actually is. So capacity building revolves around an agency's mission. Capacity building is a set of activities and decisions that strengthen an organization's operations and enables it to better achieve its mission. Again, an agency has a particular mission. That mission is a direct outcome of its vision. And in order to accomplish its mission, it develops a set of goals. In order to accomplish those goals, it develops a set of activities. Those activities are the basis for the agency's operation. Now, an agency may not have the capacity to get those activities done. If it can't get those activities done, it can't accomplish its goals. If it can't accomplish its goals, it can't accomplish its mission. So there are times when an agency will need to expand its capacity by either developing a set of activities that'll broaden the scope of the agency's ability to accomplish its goals and strengthen the overall agency's operations. That's capacity building in a nutshell. So again, capacity building is a set of activities and decisions that strengthen an organization's operations and enables it to better achieve its mission. Now, who are the capacity builders out there? What's the profile of capacity builders? So there are foundations that provide capacity building support. There are associations. There are other government organizations. There are management support organizations. And then there are consultants and academics. So capacity builders have no specific profile per se. There are a lot of different sources that provide capacity building support and capacity building activities. But in general, these are the main capacity builders that assist agencies. There are foundations, associations, government organizations, management support organizations, consultants, and academics. Now, capacity building comes in different forms. There are different types of capacity building. There's short-term capacity building. For example, an agency operating in a certain demographic area notices a particular social issue that's directly related to its mission, and they'd like to go out and solve that social issue. Now, the social issue at hand is not a long-lasting issue. There may be a flu going around that's affecting a lot of people, and the agency feels that in line with their mission, it's appropriate that they go ahead and try to solve that flu issue. So they may need to develop a set of temporary activities for which they don't have the capacity to accomplish. So when building capacity for a short-term project, typically an agency would utilize some form of technical assistance. Just some technical assistance in how to go about setting up those activities, where to get funding for those activities from. All the operational aspects of setting up those set of activities. Then there's long-term capacity building. Long-term capacity building will typically be multidimensional. It'll typically focus on the agency's strategic plan. Long-term capacity building is typically done by agencies that feel that their mission is relevant to solve long-term social issues, and all the operations within their agency are focused towards that mission, but they believe that 50% of that mission can't be accomplished or is not sustainable. So those agencies would typically try to employ a long-term capacity building program to expand the agency's capacity to sustain that mission longer term. Then there's training and education. There's capacity building by training and educating volunteers, staff, etc. Then there's grant-focused support. An agency receives a grant and they realize that all their staff that they planned on allocating to the grant is tied up or overloaded with their work, and it'll conflict with their ability to focus on, it'll afflict with their ability to achieve the stated plan in the grant. So agencies may need to employ capacity building specifically focused on accomplishing their proposal that they've submitted for the grant. Next, there's capacity building simply to allow an agency to expand its capital resources. whether it's in the form of actually providing the capital resources or whether it's in the form of developing a strategy for accessing capital resources. There's capacity building specifically geared towards capital resources. And then finally, there's executive coaching. Executive coaching is typically would be for executives that are running an agency, successfully running an agency. They have vast experience in running the majority of the agency's operations. However, there are, let's say, one or two areas that they have no experience in, and they may need coaching on those particular areas and how to effectively run those, how to effectively manage those particular areas. So those are the types of capacity building. Again, there's short-term, which typically comes in the form of technical assistance. There's long-term capacity building, which typically is multidimensional. Then there's training and education. There's grant-focused support. There's capital resource capacity building, and there's executive coaching. Now, what are the core capacities inherent in every agency? Or what are the core capacities that an agency needs in order to survive? So there are, generally speaking, there are four core capacities. There's leadership capacity, there's adaptive capacity, there's management capacity, and there's technical capacity. Generally speaking, these are the four core capacities that every agency needs in order to survive. And we'll take a look at these in more detail. Let's take a look at leadership capacity. Leadership capacity is the ability of all organizational leaders to create and sustain the vision, inspire, model, prioritize, make decisions, provide direction, and innovate, all in an effort to achieve the organizational mission. So, leadership as it relates to a nonprofit agency includes sustaining the vision, inspiring, modeling, prioritizing, making decisions, providing directions, providing innovation. That's all, as it relates to a nonprofit agency, that's all in an effort to achieve the organizational mission. So that's leadership capacity. Let's take a look at adaptive capacity. Adaptive capacity is the ability of nonprofit organizations to monitor, assess, and respond to internal and external changes. There are always environmental changes. There are always changes in the environment surrounding the agency, whether that's the nonprofit environment, whether that's the competitive landscaping, the funding available. There are always There are always changes in the external environment of the nonprofit agency, and in addition, there are always internal changes. New staff, new programs, new tasks, new activities, etc. So adaptive capacity is the ability of a nonprofit organization to monitor, assess, and respond to these changes, both internal and external changes.